Hello, I am Sarah Eichler, and I am in my second year of the two-year master's and credential program, and I am getting my single subject credential in English. Currently, I have been student teaching at San Diego High School. I did ninth and then I did 11th and 12th for my full-time. And now I am going to be moving up to Sage Creek High School for the remainder of their academic year starting in March. And that will be in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade classrooms for a long-term sub position. I also have taught Pilates and dance, and although they are not education-based, I did teach dance in public schools, and they were based in curriculum and had standards, and they also, of course, require a certain amount of pedagogy and flexibility and awareness, as teaching anything does. So I chose to take this class because I think classroom management is something that is really challenging for me, because I'm definitely at the stage that I don't like to be the bad guy. And not that I think that you have to be a bad guy to manage a classroom, but I think that I have not so far excelled in setting really strong parameters or expectations for a classroom that I think is so important in creating a really strong classroom environment. So with the ninth graders, it was a little bit easier because I felt like there were more like cute, quippy ways to gather their attention. And now with the 11th and 12th graders, I really struggled with it and found myself often speaking even though I knew I didn't have everyone's attention, and repeating myself a lot. So I want to find some kind of creative, structured ways that aren't overly strict or punitive, which I feel like is a challenging balance to strike, and I haven't really seen, I don't think, like a glowing example of that yet, like how to do that I've had such amazing experiences in student-centered, discourse-based courses that are really rigorous and have interesting and engaging curriculum, and so generally students tend to be more on task, but when they're not on task, finding ways to gather their attention that's not shushing or punitive, or like calls students out. So I guess that kind of answered both parts of that question. Yes, okay. So my rough philosophy on classroom management at this point in time is that if students are in an environment where they feel safe and respected, and that they also respect you and your grasp of the content and your ability to manage the classroom, that they'll be more engaged and it'll be less of an issue. So I guess trying to come from classroom management from a more like preemptive way, like trying to preventative, that's the word I'm looking for, trying to prevent it before it's an issue is maybe more important. I do believe that it's necessary for all grades, but like anything, I think that there should be some sort of gradual release as students get older, that they should be more independent workers and have higher expectations for classroom management. Maybe shouldn't need like as many techniques. And I know that it shouldn't be punitive or like calling students out or embarrassing them or putting them on the spot. But I think more about what classroom management should not be than what it should be. But I know that it should be consistent. I feel like when I found what worked for me and I stuck to it, that I got better responses over a longer period of time. Like the more I stuck with it, the better results that I got. I guess something that I don't know yet that I want to know is like, do I really have to wait for every single person to listen to me? Because that just seems like a really tall task. And also how to incorporate specific techniques when it comes to using technology, because I feel like that is such an issue, especially with like 11th and 12th graders. They bring their laptops to class. They're like working on college apps and things that are really important to them. And so it's hard for me to be like, what we're doing right now is more important than what you're doing. And I also have heard some crazy horror stories from some teachers about really major explosive meltdown, breakout fights, and those kind of like nuclear moments. And I sometimes hear these stories and think, what would I do in that situation if kids started throwing things at each other and punching each other in my class? What would I do? So I'd like to know what to do in those kind of more explosive, although they're more one-off chances, I would still like to know how to handle those as well. The last question. So I think really strong classroom management tends to work around like specific structure and expectations. So like having specific time limits and expectations laid out that help keep students on task to avoid the disruptive behavior, and again, being consistent. And I think that generally poor classroom management is more like when most students are not on task or not focused when asked to focus. So it's not necessarily like that everybody needs to be quiet and focused on the teacher, that's classroom management, but that they should be focused on whatever the task at hand is as well. I'll see you all soon.